What the duck, ladies and gentlemen? It's me again. Welcome back to my channel. This recent massive egg recall, that was the last straw for me. It was the moment I knew I couldn't keep relying on this fragile and frankly sometimes dangerous food system to feed my family. The constant worry, the mental gymnastics of trying to remember what's good and safe to eat this week, I'm just done. A Salmonella outbreak linked to eggs from a single company, Country Egg LLC, has already sickened at least 95 people across 14 states. 18 of those people had to be hospitalized. That's 18 families thrown into chaos because they trusted the eggs they bought were safe. The scary part is, food contaminated with salmonella doesn't look, smell, or taste spoiled. I realized every time I cracked the egg I didn't raise myself, I was just rolling the dice. So I've decided to take things into my own hands. I'm building a backyard homestead from scratch. And I'm taking you along for the ride. Look, this isn't just about one outbreak. That was just the final push I needed. This is a symptom of a much bigger issue. We're completely disconnected from our food. And because of that, we've lost control. We put our trust in these massive, distant supply chains and faceless corporations. But recalls like this happen all the time. When you buy eggs from the store, they often come from industrial farms where hens are packed into tiny spaces. You have no idea what they are fed, what antibiotics they are given, or how those eggs were handled from the moment they were laid to the second you put them in your cart. The risk of contamination is just baked right into the system. For me, this whole thing is about taking back that control. It's more than just avoiding salmonella. It's about genuine food security. It's about the peaceful mind that comes from knowing exactly what's in my family's food because we grow it ourselves. It's about building a little resilience so we're not totally dependent on a supply chain that can be broken by a recall, a storm, or who knows what else. Everybody remembers COVID, right? This is about self-sufficiency and taking responsibility for their own well-being in the most basic way possible, the food we eat. So maybe you've had a last straw moment like I did. You're thinking, yes, I want to do this. I want to be more self-sufficient. And then almost immediately, the overwhelm hits. You are picturing sprawling farms with barns and tractors and think, I can't do that. I just have a backyard. Let me stop you right there. The most important first step isn't buying land or building a coop. It's shifting your mindset. You have to refine what homesteading even means. It doesn't have to be 100 acres. Backyard homesteading is just about using what you've got right where you are to produce a little bit of what you need. It's a lifestyle and it can start on a balcony, in a small suburban yard, or on a quarter-acre lot. The goal isn't to go from 0 to 100, self-sufficient overnight. That's the perfect recipe for burnout. The goal is to just start. Start small, learn as you go, and build on your own little victories. So many people get paralyzed by the big picture. Don't think about a 10-year plan. Think about your first project. What is the one thing you can do this month to be a little less reliant on the grocery store? For us, the answer was obvious: eggs. Alright, mindset's in check. Let's get practical. Before you buy a single bird or a single seed, you need a basic plan. First, just walk around your space. Where do you get the most sunlight? A vegetable garden needs at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight. Where could a small coop realistically fit? The very next thing I did was check my local city ordinances. This is so important, trust me. Many towns allow backyard ducks or chickens now, but they usually have rules about how many you can have and if you can have a rooster, and how far the coop needs to be away from your neighbor's fence. A quick search of your city's website will save you a world of headaches later. Then set a realistic goal. My goal is not to produce all our food this year. My goal is to master three things: getting our own eggs, growing a small bed of salad greens, and keeping and containing our herbs alive. That's it. It feels manageable. It feels doable. When you start small, you give yourself a chance to learn without getting buried. You can always expand next year. The key is to make a plan that fits your actual life, your budget, and your space. If you're finding this helpful and you want to follow along as I grow my backyard homestead, make sure you subscribe. We're going to learn all of this together, every mistake and every success. I'd love to have you on this journey with me. This whole journey started with eggs, so that's where I'm starting. My motivation couldn't be clearer. By raising my own ducks, I control their environment, their food, and their health. I can make sure they have clean living conditions and a healthy diet, which drastically cuts down on the risk of stuff like salmonella. My eggs won't travel through a massive industrial chain. They'll travel about 50 feet from the coop to my kitchen. That's as local as it can get. People think ducks are expensive or need a ton of space, but for a small flock, it's surprisingly manageable. You need a secure coop to keep them safe from predators, clean water, and a good quality feed. That's the basic setup, and the return on that investment is amazing. A healthy hen can lay around 250 to 300 eggs a year, so a little flock of 4 or 5 ducks can easily supply a family. But it goes beyond safety. The eggs themselves are just better. When ducks have the space to roam and forage, their eggs are often more nutritious, with more omega-3s and vitamins. You can literally see it in the yolks. They're a deep, rich orange you just don't get from the store-bought eggs. Knowing I'm giving my family safer, healthier food is the entire point. Once the ducks are set up, this is where the homestead starts to work like a cool little ecosystem. Ducks are great pest control. They eat bugs and slugs, and their manure is basically back gold fertilizer for the garden. So the next logical step is a small food garden. Just like with ducks, the key is to start small. I'm not plowing up my whole backyard. I'm starting with 2 simple raised beds. If you only have a patio, you can do this in containers. The goal is just to start producing something. I'm focusing on easy, high-value crops, things like salad greens, which are expensive at the store and also have their own history of recalls. Herbs are ridiculously easy to grow in pots. Maybe a bell pepper plant or 2. I'm choosing things our family will actually eat. Don't plant a truckload of kale if your family runs screaming from it. By starting this garden, I'm taking another step away from the grocery store and learning the skill that no one can ever take away. So what's the end game here? It's not about building a bunker and cutting all ties with the world. For me, it's about building a life that's more resilient, more connected, and just fundamentally healthier. The ducks and garden are just the beginning. Down the road, I want to learn food preservation, preserving the vegetables I grow so I can have them in January. I want to expand the garden, maybe add a couple fruit trees. I want to keep learning the skills our great-grandparents knew by heart, skills of thrift, ingenuity, and self-resilience. This is about more than food. It's the satisfaction of working with your hands in the dirt. It's the free entertainment of watching the ducks dig around the yard, which is better than half the shows on TV. It's the feeling of empowerment that comes from knowing you can provide for your family even in a small way. In a world that's filled with more and more uncertainty, building your own little productive homestead is a powerful, optimistic act. You're taking control of your corner of the world and making it better. So that's it. That's my why, and that's my plan. The food system might be broken, but you don't have to just be a passenger. It starts with your why. For me, it was the salmonella scare. Then you make a simple plan that actually works for your space. And then you just start. One project, a pot of herbs on your windowsill, or a few ducks in the backyard. You don't need a farm to be a homesteader. You just need to have the will to start. Thanks for joining me at the very beginning of this adventure. I'm excited, a little nervous, but ready to learn. What's the first thing you want to do to become more self-sufficient? Let me know in the comments what your first project will be.